Hello, everyone. As you know, this is Catherine Michelle, and today I have as a guest David Weiss. And I'm kind of going off topic from what I normally do. As you know, I normally cover the David Crowley case, but I have been watching David Weiss's videos regarding flat Earth for a while now, and I find him extremely interesting. I find the topic more than intriguing. It's something I've been thinking about for a long time. It kind of started when I first started, climbing mountains and being on top of mountains here in Colorado. And then when you look out and you stand on top of Pikes Peak, well, I didn't climb Pikes Peak. Okay, we drove up to the top of Pikes Peak. But up at the top there, they say you can see to Kansas. And I'm like, oh, well, if we're on a ball, are we supposed to be seeing Kansas? So I reached out to David, and he has gracefully stated that he would come here and help us understand the flat Earth concept.
When one first hears about flat Earth, like myself, you just laugh at it. It's the dumbest thing ever. And it's because of the amount of indoctrination that we've had that started before we could talk. And the question I'd like to ask people is, when did you hear about space travel, and were you shown anything other than cartoons to prove it? And the answer is before you could talk, and no. I mean, it's all cartoons. It's like, when I first heard that, I'm like, come on, stop it. We pictures of Earth, and all of that is nonsense. It's all nonsense. The only one, people that defend the flat Earth, and defend the globe Earth, they don't understand their own model. They claim there's pictures from NASA of the Earth. NASA claims there are no pictures. They admit it. So it's just an argument from a point of ignorance and a point of indoctrinated beliefs that you have nothing to back it up. Just because a line guy in a bow tie told us that boats go over the curve, and we watched a video on a really rough day where the camera kept moving that was filming a ship and it disappeared from the bottom up. They've convinced us to believe that that's the only reason that a ship could disappear from the bottom up. No one ever took the time to look into all of these things. If you Google flat Earth, hey, Earth is flat, you're going to get top 10 reasons the Earth isn't flat. And they're going to show you boats over the horizon, Aristophanes with the sticks and shadows, sunsets, all of the stuff. And then, how when you're up higher, you can see farther over. Well, they don't teach you that when you're up higher, you can see farther due to angular resolution on a flat plane. So the top 10 reasons that the Earth is a globe actually are the top 10 reasons that the Earth is flat, if you actually use your own mind and not just listen to nonsense.
Yeah, and everything you just stated is so true. I remember way back in grade school, and I'm not sure when they must have switched over from flat Earth to the globe model, but I remember them all of a sudden making fun, saying, oh, well, we used to just think this way. And then when I was first in grade school, we're just this little planet, right? All by itself spinning. And then next thing you know, we're spinning, but now we're going in an orbit. And now not only are we spinning and going in an orbit, but now we're shooting through space. It has changed so many times. And I'm like, how can any of this be true when the narrative constantly changes? And it just doesn't make sense.
And people have no idea what their model is. I mean, when you watch the sunset, the sun is clearly just going away if you understand perspective, but you're told that you're falling over backwards on a ball faster than the speed of sound, and the sun is staying still. That's what makes the sunset. It's insanity. And then while you're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, you're orbiting at 66,000 miles an hour in an elliptical orbit where you're speeding up and slowing down, right? That makes absolutely no sense.
It doesn't.
Okay? And then we're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles per hour. And people have a hard time understanding what those speeds are. So let's take a look. This is the hypersonic sled at Mach 8.6. Here it comes. Don't blink. And did you see it?
Yeah, that's pretty fast.
So that's going Mach 8.6. Watch it again. Okay. So we are orbiting the sun 10 times faster than that. We are chasing the sun in an elliptical orbit of speeding up and slowing down 90 times faster than that. Okay. That's something that your brain can't even process.
No.
And And we're not talking a straight path. Like if you're driving in a car, I tell people, here's an experiment. Get on a nice smooth road, straight road, go 100 miles an hour and get a dinner plate and fill it to the edge with water and see if you can hold it. You might be able to. But as soon as that car starts taking the slightest turn, what's going to happen to that water?
It's going off.
It's going to go off the plate, right? Or you're going to have to tilt the plate to take the curve. Well, none of this stuff makes any sense, right? Why we're going 90 times faster than that in one direction, 10 times faster in another. We have lakes that look like this.
Yes. See, no, it just doesn't make sense.
Right. And if you think about it, we got our spinning ball and we're spinning. Imagine this ball spinning and imagine I had little tiny pieces of yarn taped here, here, here on the equator, here, here, and here. As I spin it, the ones on the equator are going to stick straight out. Okay, right? Spin it around. They're going to stick 90 degrees perpendicular. Are the ones here going to go like this, or are they going to go parallel with the spin?
Oh, they're going to go parallel with the spin.
Right. So the farther north you go, the farther you should be leaning over from that centrifugal spin of the Earth. But that's not the case at all.
Well, and another thing, I don't know if you've ever really covered this, but I remember hearing, I don't remember if it was, I forget their names just because they're so ludicrous. I make fun of them too much. If it was deGrasse Tyson or if it was Nye, but somebody was saying that the Earth rotates at different speeds, like at the equator might be faster than at the north and the south. But how does that not rip apart the planet?
Well, the people say, well, it's only going around once a day. Watch the hour hand on the clock. You can't even see it move, and the Earth is going half of that. Okay, angular speed, yes, correct. But it's not angular speed that matters, it's rim velocity. So the way I look at it is, imagine a merry-go-round, a regular, amusement park merry-go-round, and it's spinning around once per day. You'd have a hard time seeing it move. You'd have to really stare at it and go, yeah, it's kind of moving, right? And so if you're sitting on the outside horse on that merry-go-round, you'd be like, this is the most boring ride ever. Now expand that merry-go-round to 100 miles wide. Well, now it's moving, right? It's got to go, the outside horse has to go 100 miles in 24 hours. So it's going about 4 miles an hour. Okay. So, hey, I'm moving, right? And now expand it out to 1,000 miles an hour. Okay. I mean, 1,000 miles wide. Well, that outside horse has to go 25 miles per hour. Well, you couldn't even run that fast if you were trying to keep up with your kid on the horse, right?
Right.
And now expand it out to 24,000 miles. Okay. Around. And now that thing is going over 1,000 miles an hour. 1,000 miles an hour. You've never gone 1,000 miles an hour, not even in the fastest airplane that you've been in.
No.
And scientifically, we can prove that the rim velocity, the Earth would explode. All of the continents, if there was such thing as continental drift, all the continents would be at the equator. Neil deGrasse Tyson, the failed actor, says that the water at the equator bulges 14 miles high due to the spin of the Earth. But from space, 14 miles is so insignificant that you can't even notice it. Okay. All right. That's interesting. And I used to think that was really the coolest thing ever. But think about it. If you were on the globe and you were going from the north and you wanted to fly to like Santiago all the way down here, you fly at about, the cruising altitude is like 5 miles high. Well, 14,000 feet is like 15 miles high, right? Right? 14,000 feet, 15, yeah, about 15 miles high. So at what point when you're crossing the equator, does that plane have to triple its height just to skim over a hump of water? It would have to go 3 times its cruising altitude just to get over that hump.
I'd never thought about that. Wow. It's a great point.
It never does it. It never does it. Look at the Maldives Islands out. They're out on the equator. Their islands are like a foot tall and there's no tides there. There's no bulge of water. There's nothing.
No.
Right. So everything, I have a for any of your listeners that are listening that are new to this, that are just having that guttural reaction that, someone's trying to steal their ball and they're having a childhood reaction. I have a 3 Bitcoin offer that you can take my Flat Earth app challenge. And if you can come up with 1 proof of the globe, I give you 3 Bitcoins. But I also have a 100 Bitcoin offer for anything dumber than the heliocentric model. Anything. You can name anything. And there, I don't think it's possible to come up anything dumber than that. Excuse me.
Well, and you're so right, because it is so ingrained. I remember the first time, it was a few years ago now, when I very first heard the term flat earth. I just,
it's a weaponized term.
Yeah. And I was indoctrinated for so long into this thinking. And like I said, I'm leaning more and more and more. And the more I watch what you put out, the more I'm understanding what you're saying. But I mean, I was like everybody else. I laughed. I was like going, I'm going to prove these guys wrong.
That's how you become a flat earther, right? I got into flat earth kicking and screaming, right? I was already into exposing lies of this world, the thing that happened in New York, the thing that happened in Boston, the thing that happened in Connecticut at the school, right? And so I'm already open to, okay, there's a lot of deception in this world and I'm willing to expose it. And then when people started mentioning flat earth, I was like a kid being dragged into an alligator pit. No friggin' way, I'm not doing it. And I went in kicking and screaming. And then finally I said, that's it. I'm going to prove this stupid crap wrong. I'm going to make a fool of all of you that are telling me to look into it. And here I am. I quit my own company. I had a very successful company. I walked away from it all to talk to people like you, because with all of the crap that's going on in the world right now, okay, which even people that are awake don't even realize what's happening right now.
Yep.
None of this is going to matter. None of your successes, none of anything is going to matter unless people wake up and reverse it. And I used to say a little bit of time. We have no time anymore. There's no time, right? Today, if you don't wake up by noon today, the world is screwed. It's over. It's over. So and people, jumping forward, and we'll get into, we're getting into why the lie and everything is. People say, oh, well, what difference does it make? I still have to go to work. I'm only one person. There's nothing I can do. That's a belief system. That's the psyop. Flat Earth isn't the psyop. The belief that you have no power, because the truth is you have all of the power and they know it, and they're not allowed to take it from you unless you willingly give it to them. So if you watch the news, you become hypnotized, you give your power away. You're like, oh my God. There's in Florida, have you watched the news? In Florida, the bodies are overrunning the hospitals and they're having to buy refrigerator trucks. Well, we've had reporters go to those hospitals, and the hospitals are literally a wasteland. Nobody's there. The security guard's like, nope, we haven't seen any trucks. Nope, there's no, in Florida, in Boca, Florida, okay, right? My mom lived in Boca, Florida. It's an old age. On a slow day, there's 3 or 4 ambulances pulling up to the hospital at any given time. On a slow day. There's no ambulances. There's nothing going on. They're literally like Zen gardens, okay? Nothing's going on. But people are watching that, living in fear, giving their power away to what they call authority. The only power that governments have over you is in your imagination, okay? So we have to do 2 things. They control us 2 ways. One, they have us in this prison for our mind, like Truman from the Truman Show, okay? They have us in the prison for our minds. And denying who we are, and taking away our understanding and our ability to manifest, because they say, hey, you can have anything you want in this world in this little realm of possibilities, and they close our realm in on us, when the truth is there's abundance and there's infinite expansion, and they don't want us to have that thought in our head. And then the other thing is, they have us playing on their Monopoly board. You have a Monopoly game? Do you ever play Monopoly?
Oh, love Monopoly. Yeah.
And what happens? And in the directions, if it says if the bank runs out of money, what do? It says just write some numbers on some paper. That's fine. Okay. And that's the Monopoly board that we're playing on. We need to get off the Monopoly board and get into privacy cryptocurrencies, not Bitcoin, not these ones that, that people are just learning about crypto. Get in. And so we get off their Monopoly board. The bankers collapse. They just vanish. We stop listening to what they call authority and take back our God-given, greatness, our God-given abilities. And then that's it. So we have 2 futures. One, the one I just described, which is going to be a rough path, or 2, a complete totalitarian, controlled regime, which is unimaginable even to people that are starting to see what's coming.
Exactly. And and it's difficult. Not only do I see the brainwashing in where we're living and what we're living on. But like you said, in what's happening today, you know, I have a pretty broad medical background. And so I still have, even though I'm retired from that job, I still have a lot of connections. And my connections, you know, especially with what's happening now, and I don't want to get too off into a tangent because I really want to stick with the flat earth, but
Yes.
goes with the brainwashing and the fear mongering, and they have to keep you, like you said, encased in this little square. And the reality is that where I'm at, the hospitals are to capacity. However, and this is a huge caveat that's not being said anywhere, is that all the medical personnel I talk to say they're not near as bad. You know what? We can handle this. This is okay. But that's not what you're hearing. Everything's like, oh, get scared, get scared. But and it's like with the flat earth, if you even say anything, or you Google or try to promote or even research it. I tried to research it and they shut you down left and right. You can't watch that. You can't watch that. No, it's a fake. It's a lie. Well, you don't need to tell me if something's a lie. I can find that out for myself.
You don't need a 24/7 ad campaign to convince somebody that bad news spreads bad news spreads organically. Getting back to you were talking about how we've known for years that I think you were talking about that, where the earth has been flat. Have you seen my interview with Ruth?
I watched it, yes, and I love this old lady.
Yeah, so 102 years old. And I was talking to her about the World's Fair. She had an amazing memory, and she had such a great memory when she was 5 years old. And I said, where did you go to school? She told me the school, the name, the teacher, the road, the kids in the class. I'm like, wow, I could barely do that. Wow. And I said, what did they teach you in science class about the earth? And she looked at me, she goes, they taught me the earth was flat. I had never mentioned flat earth to her, right? I just met her. And so I started recording, and I explained to her what the flat earth really was. And she literally broke down, and it was amazing. And we found other people, you know, in other countries that they were teaching flat earth into the 1930s, through the 1930s. So this deception is less than 100 years old.
Yeah.
It seems to be 100-year reset that happens, right? 1920, everybody was wearing shame muzzles on their face. Everybody was getting stuff poked into their arm, and everybody died. Okay. So crazy world we live in. So here, the thing that can challenge the power structure here is knowledge, and knowledge is people are waking up. You know, so question is, you know, lots of people are waking up. This is our time to take it back. The question is, are we smart enough to take it back? Are we brave enough to take it back? How far do they have to push us before we take our power back?
Yeah, and like you were saying, and you had answered this on someone else's video, because my question always has been is, what was the purpose? Why do they have to hide this? And look at this, what you have on your screen right now. That's absolutely beautiful. Is that a star?
That's the star Arcturus, and you can film this yourself, right? This is not a burning ball of hydrogen in a vacuum. Think about this. A vacuum, nature abhors a vacuum. You can't even make a vacuum. You can get like a glass bottle and try to suck all the air out of it. You'll have a low pressure system, but it won't be a vacuum. Right. You've seen the metal tanker train cars where they suck all the air out of it and the whole thing implodes upon itself.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Nature abhors a vacuum. Okay. The story of the helio-nonsensical model is, once there was nothing, it exploded and became everything. That's crazy. And then all of the rocky bits started sticking together and pulling in more rocky bits. The bigger they got, the more gravity they got. And they started pulling in all these bits. And that's how the earth was created. And then all of the gases, which came from nothing, they started coalescing. Something started pulling them together, and they got bigger and bigger. They got way bigger than the rocky planets. And they turned into stars and our sun. And they left a vacuum in between. So now we have burning balls of spinning gas in a vacuum. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem. And rocky balls and gravity holding them all together. And the sun's gravity only holds on to all of the planets all in a straight line on the same plane, not like here. They're all across the same ecliptic. That's because the earth is flat, but they tell us, you know, it's holding on to them. but it doesn't hold on to their moons because it lets the planets hold on to their own moons. So the gravity from the sun ignores the planets. Okay, this is insanity. Okay, and people just go, well, guy in a bow tie told me he had a white lab coat on. It must be true. And when you try to model this stuff out, it doesn't work at all. You've heard of the 3-body problem?
No.
So science has a problem, big problem. You can take the world's best supercomputer and you can make a model. Say, okay, I've got the sun, it's got this much gravity, I got a little planet, and you put it in orbit, it's got this much gravity, and it works beautifully. You can predict where it's going to be in 10,000 years or tomorrow or 2 o'clock, whatever. And it works perfectly, flawlessly, amazing. Then you introduce into the world's best computer for modeling another planet or moon, so one that's going to either orbit the original sun or orbit the other one, and the entire model goes into chaos mode. It can never predict what's going to happen next. Look at our solar system. We're flying in all those directions. We have all of that crazy stuff going on, and nothing ever changes. We have these planetary alignments, right? The sun's holding them all into position, right? How come their gravities don't tug on each other? How come when the moon is coming around the sun towards the sun, it doesn't speed up, and then when it tries to go back away from the sun, it doesn't slow down? Okay.
Yeah, it should, or you would think.
And the distances between these things, you ever see someone did it in like an Arizona desert? They did a scale model of the sun. They had a sun which was like I don't know, they blew up this big I don't know, I forget, it wasn't even that big. It was I don't know, maybe it was a 6 foot, 10 foot tall sun. Okay. And the earth was like a peach, like a half a mile away. Okay. And then the other planets were so far away. It was like, how is this all being held together? Okay.
Yeah.
They blow our minds with infinite space, right? They blow our minds with numbers that we weren't taught to process. We were taught to memorize and regurgitate and just believe the pictures and the memes. Okay. Right. Think about this. Our sun is gigantic, right? Put it right next to the earth, it would fill the entire sky, right? Move it 93 million miles away, it looks like about the size of a coin held at arm's length, right? So it reduces due to perspective. It gets smaller as it goes away, right?
Okay.
So if we made it 3 times farther, scientifically you can prove the angular size would be so small your eye can't resolve it. Okay. So at 3 times the distance, we couldn't see our sun. Okay. Some people go, well, you could see it at 3 times the distance. Okay. 24 times the distance. Can't see it. Just magnitudes over. 24 times the distance. It would take light 2 days, 2 or 3 days, 3 days to get to us. It would be 3 light days away versus 8 light minutes, right?
Wow.
Or 3 light hours away, not even days. It doesn't matter. There's so much margin in this. Uh-huh. So it's 3 light hours away, scientifically provable. You can't see it. You with me? This isn't that hard. Okay. Yes. So we can prove that's too far away. Polaris, our North Star, they tell us is 46 times bigger. Well, round up 48 times bigger, giving them the advantage. And so that would be 2 light. That would be 48 times. 2 days is 48, 24 and 24. So you got your 3 light hours times 2 days. That would be 6 light days away. Polaris, scientifically provably, is unviewable to the naked eye at 6 light days away. Okay. You with me?
Yeah,
okay.
It would be. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be unviewable. Let's round it up. 600 days. Let's just give them every advantage. Maybe it's a little bigger. 600 days away, 100 times, right? So that's two years. We'll call it 2 light years. That's ridiculous. I just gave them here, I owe you 5 cents. Here, let me give you $50,000 just to make sure I covered it. Okay, that's how much margin I'm giving them. They tell us it's 433 light years away, but you can look up any night and see it. It's always there. It never moves. We're traveling billions of miles every year, and Polaris never moves.
It makes absolutely no sense. And I'd never thought about that.
Yeah, so that because most people listening to this, I don't know about you, how your audience is. Most people just short circuit when I try to explain something simple like that. Okay. Mm-hmm. let's talk about, and people go, what about space aliens? Aliens, it's so important, space aliens is the dumbest thing. It's and that's part of the heliocentric model. So you don't win your 100 Bitcoins. The closest star is 25 trillion miles away, they tell us, ignoring the sun. 25 trillion miles to the closest star. Okay. 25 trillion miles. Okay. Well, that's all right. Trillion, that's fun. 25 trillion. Let's say you were in a spaceship and you're going to head to the closest star and you're traveling a mile a second. You've never gone that fast. No one goes a mile a second. Too fast. It's very fast. So if you're going 1 mile per second and you travel for 1 trillion seconds, how many miles have you gone? 1 trillion miles, right? Mile a second, making the math very easy. A mile a second, you've never gone that fast. You travel for 1 trillion seconds, you're 1/25th of your way to the closest star, right? It's 25 trillion miles. You've gone 1 trillion seconds. You've gone 1 trillion miles. You got to do that 25 more times to get there. How long have you been traveling if you're traveling for 1 trillion seconds? How long is that in days? You have any idea?
Oh my gosh, no.
I'll give you a Bitcoin if you can guess it within a day. Just take a guess. For fun. For Bitcoin, it's like $45,000.
Oh gosh, it's too early in the morning to be thinking like that.
Even late in the day, you won't get it.
20 years? I don't know.
Very close. It's 31,000 years. Okay.
Yeah,
31. So if you're traveling a mile a second for 31,000 years, you've made it 1/25th of your way to the closest star. The other ones are magnitudes farther. And then you say that to somebody, they go, well, you're not really seeing the star. You're seeing the light that's been traveling for billions of years. That is the dumbest thing ever. Okay. Part of the story, light's been traveling for 1 billion years. And all I can say is cool story, bro. Okay. Cool story. Because you got nothing. You got nothing. You got fairy tales, cartoons, ridiculous math, impossibilities, things that we can actually, we can't really verify the things that NASA claims, but we can verify that these things are impossible. Okay.
Well, I remember when I was in grade school and even in high school, arguing with my science teacher saying, that, and at the time I had no idea why, but I'm like, that just doesn't make sense. I don't care if it, eventually something's going to be changing somewhere and it's not going to be the same constantly. And how can I see something?
And did they give you a reward or some extra credit for thinking like that?
Oh no, I got in trouble.
Yeah, because you're questioning their dogma.
Yeah.
Questioning their dogma. Yeah. Where are you located? You're in Denver.
No, I'm in Northern Colorado.
Northern Colorado. And by the way, you were talking about going up to the top of a mountain. Think about this. On a ball, if you're on the top of a mountain and the sun is setting, the sun is lower than you are from your point of view, right? Because it's going down below the horizon, which is you're at the top of a mountain. Let's say you're at 15,000 feet. Amazing. That's pretty high. The sun setting. Well, there's houses that are built way up on the top of very high peaks. When the sun is setting, there should be a time around sunset where the sun rays hit your ceiling. Right?
Oh, you're right.
Sun rays should hit your ceiling. Sun rays never hit any ceiling, no matter where it is.
No.
Now, some people go, I got sun ray on my ceiling. It's reflecting off their floor. Okay.
Right.
You're looking at it wrong. Okay. Are you familiar with the Georgia Guidestones?
Yes. Yeah.
Besides the New World Order marching orders on there and the future population of the earth, 500 million, there's a little hole in the Georgia Guidestones.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what you see when you look through it?
No.
You see the star Polaris. And if you do a time lapse, the North Star, and it never moves. Okay. We're corkscrewing through space, traveling 4.5 billion miles in one direction, farther in another direction, every single year. But Polaris just stays lined up with that little hole.
No, I don't buy it. I just don't.
I don't know how anyone buys it other than you're indoctrinated. I think one of the Nazis, maybe it was Goebbels or whatever, said, give me a kid, or maybe it was just like one of our politicians, who the hell knows, They're all the same.
Yeah.
You give a kid until the age 7, and then you'll own them for life, because you can train them to believe anything, because until the age of 7, you don't have the ability, the mental capacity to discern things, and you're just letting stuff soak in. And so our entire world foundation is built on the heliocentric model. Everything, all of our beliefs are built around that. Now, the heliocentric model, it can work, with some of the things that we see, the way that we see. We think we see curvature. We see the sun, it looks like it's going down, but it's really not. The So you have this belief, and then they indoctrinate us with space movies and cartoons, and every show has globes in it, and it's all about space. I grew up on Star Trek and Lost in Space and Star Wars and Galactic Empire, whatever, all this stuff. And before that, Sesame Street, Walt Disney has astronauts on it. Astronauts, the liars from NASA, okay, who fake everything. Everything is fake. Nobody's ever been on a rocket going into space, because space doesn't exist. Oh, that's too much. I can't handle it, Dave. That it's absolutely true. And it's so easy to fake, and they fake it so horribly. It's unbelievable.
And the thing that what got me questioning, because I remember being a kid and the moon landing and watching all of that. But even as a child, and this is why I've never believed we've ever gone. And when I was working for a government contracting facility, and I swear I was the only one, they would talk about, because they're working on rockets to go to Mars and stuff. I'm like, oh, come on, you guys, stop it. We haven't even been to the moon. I mean, I would get in trouble at work because I would voice that opinion, right? How dare you say that? And I'm like, okay, answer me the question. Who was taking a photo of the landing?
Right. I know it. People just ignore that. And they here's the thing. NASA, has to subcontract out to get parts made. You think they'd subcontract out to 100 companies, 1,000 companies, whatever, to get all the parts. They subcontracted out to 100,000 companies. That way, everyone could say, my father, my uncle, my grandfather worked on the Apollo mission. Well, they might have. They're not liars. They might have made a satellite. They might have made the door, the valve, the hinge, whatever, and sent it to NASA. And like, well, I'm part of that. I'm part of making the seals for that. But when you actually look at their stuff, their old stuff, it's like it doesn't hold up. This is this is what they showed us. This is a orbiter around the moon. Look at this. I mean, there's so many things wrong with this. Look, this is a spaceship. Okay, look at this thing. This is actual NASA footage. All right.
Oh, and how did that get through the Orion radiation belts?
Yeah, well, they didn't know they were there at that time, so it didn't matter.
I'm sorry, the Van Allen radiation belts. I'm sorry.
Right, that's another fence over us. The Antarctic Treaty is a fence around us. Look at this thing. You have to believe there's 2 grown men in a diaper wearing diapers in there. Okay.
It looks just so CGI.
What is this? It's not even CGI. This looks like a 5th grade, tweaker shelter project. It's unbelievable what's going on. So, and all you have to do is really look at NASA stuff. And I can't believe that they don't do this stuff on purpose just to make us, to say, hey, we showed you how stupid it was. Look, they had a lemon up there, and look, it goes right through his hand. It's not real. It's a CGI object that they're manipulating in real time.
Wow.
Yeah. And their answer to that is, well, there's cosmic rays up there, and it's an anomaly in the film, right? No, they're manipulating crap up there. They use green screens. Green screen technology is amazing. We've seen it where the astronauts are not there, and all of a sudden, whoop, they just beamed right in. It's like, where did he come from? And I'm like, they had to put that out on purpose. Okay. So, and then there's times where we can see through the astronauts, like what? Or other times where they glitched out and they quickly cut away to mission control. Everything that was floating glitched out. Everything that wasn't floating, which is on another layer, didn't glitch out. Okay.
Well, yeah, because if they were really there, that entire thing should be glitchy, not just them.
Right. And they, watch this guy's head. You can see through it. You can see through it right there. That thing on the wall is there.
Oh, good.
So they're just fading him in. And see, look, you can see through his head, right?
Wow.
And then
Yeah.
watch this guy go around the corner, his elbow, you can see through it right there. Watch this thing on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
You can see through it. So because they're on these floating shots, they're on a 0G plane. And a 0G plane only has one corridor. You know what a 0G plane is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're taking this parabolic arc. And that's how they faked the Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos thing. They weren't up in those rocket ships. They just pre-recorded it in a plane. They always have the girl with the long hair floating around. This is exactly what goes on a 0G plane. Richard Branson's sitting there about to throw up. He can barely handle it. He's strapped down, making his, all they are is on this plane. Okay. And then they've designed it to look like his fancy jet, and they put, fake windows and stuff this is what's going on. And if he is supposedly floating for 4.5 minutes. How come in all of the footage they show us, they don't show us the full 4.5 minutes? They only show us 5 seconds at a time. 5 seconds. That's because they're just taking different clips from different shots, and they're just stitching them all together.
So I can't even do that very well.
No, wow. Look, but they always have a long-haired girl. Think about this. If you're in the army, you're a girl. If you went to the army, what's the first thing they would do? They would shave your head. Okay. They just cut your hair short. But on the space station, in this contained environment, they have women with long hair. Every single one of the women, or almost all of them, have long flowing hair. That place would be disgusting. There'd be hair everywhere. You'd be inhaling hair because it wouldn't settle.
Well, yeah, because women lose hair like crazy,
right. But not in space. But not in space, apparently. Okay.
And what is this?
Oh no, this is the Elon Musk sent his Tesla in space. Did you know about that?
No.
So Elon Musk, this is like a couple of years ago. He sent his car into space. He shot up it was called the Falcon Heavy, and he decided to put his Tesla in it and put it in space with a robot in it, a mannequin. And this is what they showed us. Okay. No. And everyone thought it was the coolest thing ever, but no one actually watched it. Right. And this is the Earth spinning below. Now, he's not even as high as the space station at this point, but look at the globe Earth. The space station doesn't see the Earth like that. No. This thing, and it went to Mars. Okay.
Okay. I'm
and
sorry.
Look at the Earth going by. Look, this is the reflection. That's supposed to convince you when what they can do with green screens now is way, way, way beyond that. It's way beyond that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I can't believe that was actually put out to be real.
This was put out to be real. And think about it. Why isn't there a photograph of that car passing the Earth in every Tesla showroom? There's none. It's not on the cover of any magazine, Time, Omni, Newsweek, friggin' National Geographic. There's no posters, no postcards. There should be stamps with this shot right there. Click. Yeah. Right? And nothing. It wasn't anywhere because it's so fake. And Elon Musk himself in the press conference goes, you can tell it's real because it looks so fake. We'd have better CGI. That's what he said. Now, was that just were they just trying to catch up? Were they just trying to like damage control? And I don't know. Maybe I think they're just trying to test our intelligence, and we're failing.
Well, controlling the narrative too by pretending it's fake. Saying, "Oh, if it was fake, then blah blah blah." Then
it would we would fake it better than that.
Yeah,
that's just exactly. The way it looks, and people just buy into it. People just friggin' buy into it. It's unreal.
Wow.
Yeah. So okay. This is showing just how they can manipulate things in real time, and then they make them look real in real time.
Wow.
Yeah. So much. There's so much, and the problem is people don't have what they by design. They keep us all working, busy with our slave jobs, and there's so many jobs that are actually useless jobs that we don't need them, but it's all to keep a prisoner happy. You have to make them think they have freedom, think they have choice, and believe that they have access to everything. Well, they put us on a ball when in fact there's more than what's on the ball. And to give them just enough money to get by and a dream for the future, the lottery. Oh, I could win the lottery. Or you know what, if I keep going, when I'm too old to enjoy it, I can retire, and it's all just a dream. They don't want you to realize that maybe there's more. Maybe there's more land, more extra territory in the outer space. We live here in the inner space. Antarctica is the shoreline that surrounds us. And maybe there's other oceans and other extra territories out here.
Well, isn't that what General Byrd was talking about? I did see a clip of him from a long time ago where he was talking about beyond
the poles, right?
Yeah.
He said, out beyond the poles, there's land bigger than the United States, filled with resources that has never been seen by human eyes. Okay, that was just one mission. Okay, maybe he just went from here to here. Okay,
yeah,
right. Maybe that's it, right? And then they quickly made the Antarctic Treaty. Okay, which is a treaty that basically said nobody can independently explore Antarctica until the year 2041, and that's the only treaty that's held up in time. While all the countries in the world are fighting for resources, there's unclaimed resources, massive, and nobody can go there because we don't want to disturb the penguins.
That doesn't make sense.
But go ahead, deforest the Amazon, spray our skies, do all sorts of things. That's fine, but don't disturb the penguins. Okay, that's ridiculous.
Man, it is. And on that map, it just it reminded me of something I had seen before, and what kind of really started me toward the flat Earth and believing that that's probably more likely what we're living on was I remember the news not too long ago was an emergency plane landing from I forget some country, and it was supposedly going to LA, but then it made an emergency landing, and instead of landing in Hawaii, they landed in Alaska.
Taiwan to LA, the emergency happened right about here. And instead of going to Hawaii or continuing, they went way out of the way to Alaska. And that's because this is the real route. Taiwan, emergency, Alaska. It's right there.
And see, that makes...
And Hawaii is all the way out here. What?
That makes so much sense. The other way, it's like, how can, if they were truly, and like I said, this is kind of what got me going. If it was truly on a globe, they would have gone to Alaska. You're not going to go, thousands of miles out of your way to Alaska.
So this book here documents 16 emergency landings. All of them, they landed in crazy places, right? It doesn't make any sense on the globe model. But if you draw a line on a flat Earth map from their origin to their destination, they landed on an airport right along that line every single time. Wow. How many times does it have to happen? So here's the problem. NASA's in charge of radar, in charge of GPS, in charge of flight routes. So they're controlling the whole thing. Okay. Right. But when an emergency happens, they have to land quickly, and they just land the plane, and that every time it proves that the Earth is flat. It's unbelievable. Now, northern flight routes on the inner part of our world are very similar on both, very similar, but there is some differences. They're very similar. It's the southern to southern flight routes that matter. From Santiago to Australia, this is the route. And to go to Western Australia, they go all the way up, all the way over the Far East, over to Singapore and down. Why would they do that when they could literally just cut across the bottom of the ball? Zip, that would be the way. But instead, they go the opposite direction, and they go all the way around and come down. And the answer is, the reason they would go, remember, Western Australia, they go all the way up, all the way across, and all the way down. It's because on a flat Earth map, here we go all the way up across America to the Far East, Singapore, Western Australia, a straight line. Airplanes fly straight and level over the Earth plane.
Wow.
Sea level, not sea curve. Airplanes, they're always telling us what's going on. They're always telling us. Let me share my app and show you something. Have you seen wondered about how seasons work?
I do. I wonder about that all the time and don't have a clue.
Yeah, seasons make no sense on a globe Earth. So before I show you this, imagine you and I are, it's middle of the winter. We're sitting outside in the snow. we're 20 feet apart, 15 feet apart, just for scale model. Okay. And we're freezing. What the hell are we doing sitting outside? And somebody with a long pole is holding a nice big heat lamp directly over your head, maybe 10 feet in the air. You're like, and you feel that heat and you look up, it's above you, it's high in the sky. Okay. It's your warmth. That's your summer sun. I'm sitting 15 feet away from you. That heat lamp is lower in the sky to me. It's not over me. It's far away. It's lower in the sky and I could barely feel the heat and I'm freezing. That's my winter sun. Well, if they move that lamp at the same height, to me, it's now higher in my sky. I'm getting that heat. You're looking at it. It's lower in the sky and farther away. That's your winter sun.
Oh,
so
okay.
Here's how it works. I'm going to move the sun forward to July, April, May, June. Okay. So in June, the sun is over this yellow line called the Tropic of Cancer. Look, it's going to go right over Florida, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's going to go over Mexico, Southern California. Well, during June, it's friggin' hot there. You know why? Because that's the heat lamp directly over them, right? Australia is having their winter because the sun is farther away from them. But if I move it 6 months to December, the sun migrates out there. Australia has their summer. It's hot right over Australia because that heat lamp is directly over them. We look at the sun. It's farther away. It's lower in the sky. We don't see it as long because it's farther away.
That
right?
makes sense.
That makes total sense because in the helio nonsensical BS model, during our northern winter, do you know that we're 3.5 million miles closer to the sun?
Then why
According
are we
to well, it's colder because we're tilted away and we're told by Milton High, the lion guy with the bow tie, that sun is spread over a bigger area. So it's diluted. Hey, it makes perfect sense. The problem with that is here in Connecticut in June, when the sun appears on the horizon in the morning, as soon as I see the sun on the horizon, I can feel the heat on my face. That is an 89-degree tilt. That is any more farther tilted, it'd be below the horizon. Okay. And then it's just, you can feel the heat. In December, when the sun is farther away out here, over the Tropic of Capricorn, at the highest point of the sun for the day, because let's say it's 50 degrees up in the sky, I could look at the sun. I can't even feel the heat on my face. And we're 3.5 million miles closer to the sun, according to the heliocentric model. I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. It's so stupid. But people, and again, I know you followed this. Most people listening have short circuited. They're like, the tilt. I understand that the tilt, if you put a light on directly on something, it's this big. And then you take that same light and put on something tilted, it's now this big and it's dispersing the heat. Yeah, that's cool. Cool story. But that's not what's going on here because it would be arctically freezing every day at sunrise in our summer, but it's not.
Yeah, it would. And I know we're running short on time. And I'm sorry, I tend to yak too much.
It's all right. Real quick, and then we can wrap up. We can go a couple minutes longer if you need. This is my app. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Because if you Google Flat Earth, you're not going to find anything. You're going to find what they want you to find. You're going to find the Flat Earth Society nonsense. We're not the Flat Earth Society. None of that is true. So what I do here is every day there's a new video that shows up. It's actually going to change in about 7 minutes. And so you click right here, bam, featured video every day. And I just say, take the challenge. If you think what I'm saying is stupid, because you're not listening, watch the video every day for 2 weeks. And if you still think the earth is a globe, send me the proof and I will give you 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, you have to click the question mark and up comes all the questions you're going to ask. What about eclipses? Why the lie? What about gravity? What about, I click what about gravity and you open it up and up comes a playlist that YouTube doesn't want you to see. This is stuff they don't want you to see.
Wow.
So it has all of the videos, all of the information for you. There's stuff on Tataria, on the lost history of flat earth. Watch that one. This one will blow your mind. Our interview will be here under my interviews, DITRH. That's my channel. If you only get to I only want short videos, all my videos are under 5 minutes. Okay. We have 24/7 Globebusters. That's a show that we do on Wednesdays and Sunday afternoons. But that's the 24/7 like CNN, but with real real flat earth, real stuff 24/7. Just play that in the background instead of the mind control news. It has books on flat earth, kids books, adult books, all sorts of information. If you're a reader, great, makes great gifts. And coming soon, we got the Flat Earth Friend Finder, where you can zoom in and find other flat earthers. I'm the only one on here right now other than my app developer. Oh, actually he reset it. But it's going to be covered, so you can find people near you. You can tap on their dot and you can send them a message like, hey, I see we're at the same beach. I'm heading over to the tiki bar. Come have a drink. Boom. Flat earth friends everywhere. So
nice.
Yeah, we're going to use their technology to bring ourselves together. If I hit the color wheel, here's useful things. If you're trying to explain flat earth to somebody, you have stuff at the tips of your fingers. Look, here's NASA in their pool and their green screen and what they show us, right? Here, oh, you believe we went to the moon in that, right? Made from paper mache and tin foil. Okay. People say, what about, how do they protect Antarctica? How do they stop us? Well, this is how they stop us. This is all of these islands controlled by the crown. And this is where they have military bases at all of them. Remember the Falklands War?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, the Falkland Islands are one of these islands. And, and this is how they hide. This is how they protect Antarctica. Nobody is allowed to go there. So tons and tons of resources. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Be careful on Google Play. There's already a Flat Earth Society one by the Ron Media Group. Stole my name, stole some of the graphics. Feel free to get it. Just don't send me an email telling me my app sucks, because it's not my app. Right?
No, I want your app. I don't want
my app
theirs.
is by Blue Water Bay.
Okay.
If you're watching this on a computer, just point your camera there and you can get it. It's $3. Oh, here it is. He's in for $3. Trust me, I was making really good money where $3 means nothing. But it does support me. It does, but you're buying me a half of a beer and you get the app for the rest of your life. There is a pop-up that says, would you like to subscribe? Because people said, hey, Dave, can you add this? Can you add this? Can you add this? And so it's for app development. It's for supporting, but there's no ads. It pops up. You can say X, it goes away, and you don't have to subscribe. It's 99 cents if you want to subscribe, but you don't have to. Okay. And just enjoy the app, use it, share it with friends. When you're trying to convince a friend, break out the app as you're talking, and you could show them some images and stuff, and they go, oh, that's how it works. Just put on the time lapse and it literally hypnotizes them. They're like, oh, I can see it now. Okay. So use it as a tool, help wake up people, because this is the key to our freedom. We need to get off their monopoly board, and we need to realize where the heck we are. We're not on a spinning ball flying through space. That's a prison for your mind.
That is so true. And hopefully you can do this like my son, because this was a question I promised my son I would ask you, because
Sure.
He and I kind of go back and forth. I think I'm finally starting to get him to open up his brain away from globe. But his question was, because he asked me, he's like, well, if the earth is flat, then if you have the most powerful telescope, why can't you see China, or can you see China?
Yeah. So great question. What are you going to see in China? And what a telescope does is, as things go into the distance, they get smaller and smaller and smaller until you can't see them anymore. Okay. So if we look right here, you don't see a boat on the horizon because it's too small. But as I zoom in with my telescope, my super zoom, the boat gets bigger, bigger. Up. There's the boat. It's there. It wasn't over the curve. It's actually still in view, but you can't see it. The problem is when you're talking about great distances. Now watch, as I back off, the boat's going to disappear from the bottom up due to angular resolution, due to waves in the foreground are bigger than the reducing size of the boat. And it creates a false horizon and the boat disappears and it's gone. It's not over the curve. It's still there. I just proved it. Okay. But here's something. China's pretty far away. So here's a spot in Aluja, France. It's very famous because when you're looking out here, Mount Canigou is out here, 175 miles away, but you can't see it. According to Globe Math, from this altitude, the very top of the peak of Mount Canigou, which is a big mountain, should be a mile below the curve. Okay. At that distance, it should be a mile below the curve, according to Globe Math. But remember, I showed you how the sun migrates in between the tropics. It goes all the way into the Tropic of Cancer. 6 months later, it goes out. It's all the way out at the Tropic of Capricorn. Well, twice a year, it passes over a direct view from this viewing spot to Mount Canigou. Mount Canigou, you can't see it at nighttime because it's dark. Oh, and it's over the curve, according to heliocentric. But the light that's bouncing off of it can't push through the thickness of the atmosphere. It's not bright enough. But the sun is brighter. And on a couple of days a year, it lines up with Mount Canigou and it backlights it. And look, you can see Mount Canigou. And the very top should be a mile below the physical curve, if there is a curve. But it's there. You just can't see it.
Wow.
It's there. And now the heliocentric model says, well, Mount Canigou is over the curve. The sun is already set. It's refracting up and stopping at eye level.
Okay, that's just stupid.
Thank you. Thank you. Find something dumber. Find something dumber. You can't. And there it is. It's not a mirage. It's blocking the sun. Okay. And then you can't see it unless the sun is lined up with it, because light doesn't travel forever. Right. And another thing, let me just show you, and I show this often and I can't show it enough, is I filmed this. It was below freezing, super clear day, no humidity, super, super clear. And the sun, it went in 5 minutes time, it went down, down, down. Now, if the earth was spinning, it would just keep on going, but it didn't. It went down, 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 and then it stopped. Now, this is sped up 2,500%. It sat there for 10 minutes. It never went below. It's going away. And it just faded out into the thickness of the atmosphere. Here it is again.
Whoa.
It just faded away. It sat there. Okay. Now some people say, oh, it's not in focus. I don't care. It went down, 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 and it stopped. If the earth was spinning, it would just keep on going.
Right.
It didn't. It just faded away. I filmed it 7 different times.
So that just tells you it's like going this way. And now, did you say that's the thickness of the atmosphere that takes away?
It's just like, can you see through a pane of glass? Absolutely. Can you see through 3 panes of glass? Yeah. Can you see through 100 panes of glass? No. Okay. And that's like the atmosphere. That's like the atmosphere. Right. And here's a soldier in Afghanistan filmed this. It's just going away. The fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. And it all has to do with perspective when we see the sun. Here's my flat earth kitchen counter. This is the line of the sun, and it's level. Do you agree that this line is level?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
And I'm moving the sun along it. Here's mountains or the cloud deck, whatever. This is opaque, but the sun doesn't go below it. It's fine. We're viewing it from a celestial point of view. I have a camera on the table on the other end of the counter. That's a terrestrial point of view. I'm going to show you the same thing from that camera view. Ready?
Okay.
Here it is. Now, if I showed you this first, I said, is this line level or is it sloped?
Oh, it looks sloped. Whoa.
And this here, look, is at your eye level. And it looks like the horizon to you in the distance. Everything crunches in the horizon and it just goes beyond it. Okay, look, now look at this line. Is that level or is it sloped?
It looks sloped. Oh, well, I mean, it's level, but it looks sloped.
Yeah. And this is what happens. Now I'm going to show you a real sunset. This is a real sunset compared to this. And you would think this is the horizon, but look, what's it going behind here? This is the atmospheric deck of opacity. And I'm zoomed in on this. If you zoomed out, this difference between where the sun is setting and this line, it all compresses and you can't see it. It looks like the same thing. It all just compresses together. The sun, a celestial object, moves beyond it. And that's how you see it. That's how you see the sun. It just goes beyond these lower things that block it, whether it's a land feature or an atmospheric opacity. And it just goes beyond it. And it looks like it's going down. It's perspective. They don't want you to know this. That's why they stopped teaching art perspective in schools. And it's so frigging clear. This is in Bulgaria. Does this sun, are you falling over backwards or is that light in the sky just moving away?
It's just moving away.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah. The sun, I don't believe the sun that we see is actually physical. I think that the real source of the sun is within or above what we call the firmament. And we're seeing a kind of reflection of it into our reality. And we all see the sun in a position relative to our own.
Yeah. And, I'll have to send you an email because someone else had contacted me and they were saying that once when they were on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean and they were somewhere I forget where they were at, so I'll get more of the details. But because when I told them that I was going to be interviewing you, they're like, "Oh, you got to tell them this." And so this person was in the Navy, and he said that at one point he just happened to be out at the flight deck at the right time when the sun was going down. And he says, "I swear to you, there were two suns in the sky, like half a sun here and half." He goes, "It was for just a couple seconds."
So one of them is the projector of the real sun. And during eclipses, you can see this in the app. If you click "What about eclipses?" there's 2 videos in there where I viewed an eclipse and and I recreated an eclipse that looked exactly like it using my projection idea. And the reason, during a solar eclipse, nobody has ever seen the moon approach the sun, eclipse the sun, or go away. You see something eclipse the sun, but during a total eclipse, we should be able to see the features on the moon, but no, it's just black. Okay. No, they've never seen it from the International Fake Station. They've never seen it from the moon. They've never seen it from high flying aircraft. They've never seen it with telescopes, infrared. Nobody's ever seen the moon during an eclipse. There's been some faked videos, fake images, but no one's ever seen it. And that's because the thing that's eclipsing the sun is going behind the sun. Well, what do you mean? If I had a flashlight right here and it's reflecting on a lens right here, okay? So I see the sun, like I got a sheet hanging here and I got a flashlight here, and I'm on the other side of that sheet. I see that circle of light on the sheet right there. Right. And then if I took a moon or something here to eclipse that source, I'm on the other side of that sheet. I would see it getting eclipsed, but I wouldn't be able to see that dark body eclipsing the sun.
You're right. Yeah. Okay.
And it looks exactly like what we see. And then during an eclipse, sometimes when the sun isn't so bright, blinding you, sometimes depending on where you are and the conditions, you can see that eclipse light source. We can see another light source, not a lens flare, eclipsing the sun. You know what? You got a minute? I'll show you real quick.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll pull up where are we? If I go to question mark and I hit eclipses and I hit open, and then I go to this. So I'll just fast forward this. All right, you can see that clear?
Yes.
All right, so this is somebody was filming the sun. Now the sun is being eclipsed and it's just blowing out the lens. That's what we're not seeing. But we see that one thing that's moving around, that's just a lens flare because the camera's moving, but the other one is locked in position. Why isn't that moving? What is that? Well, the sun was like 90% eclipsed at this point.
Whoa.
And so they're like, what is that? So let me just jump forward. We're trying to figure it out. So there's the sun. It's actually eclipsed that much, but you just can't see. And so what I did is I made an experiment where I have the source of the sun and then I have something blocking it out, and we're on the other side of that paper towel, and that's how we see the eclipse. We don't see the moon, right? Because it's on the other side of the paper towel there. So that kind of looks just like the eclipse, right?
It does. Yeah.
So I figured, what if the sky was a little more transparent? So I made it with a thinner paper, and you could see the source. I'm looking through. You see the eclipse coming in, and the source is right there to the right. Okay, that's the projector that's projecting onto the paper towel. It is, because that's what I'm doing. And if you compare it to a real eclipse, look, it looks exactly the same.
Wow. Yeah. That explains it.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I just don't have any words. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So
oh, man.
You can find me at flatearthdave.com, the flatearthpodcast.com, same place. Flat Earth Dave, just easy to remember. Flatearthdave.com. That's where the link to lots of stuff is. My podcast is up there. You could find the link to the actual app. It's easy to find on iOS for Apple. It works on an iPhone 6 and better, iPads. It works on Android 8.0 or higher. Don't ask me where the friend finder is yet. It's still probably a couple of weeks out. But when that shows up, that's going to be a really super fun, useful tool. And yes, you could hide your location. You could say, just show me at the center of my zip code. Don't show exactly where I am. That's fine too for the paranoid people. But just so you know, the people that you don't want knowing where you are, they already know where you are. This is helping people that you want to find you, find you. So stop being paranoid and enjoy it and find other people and contact them, message them, and have meetups, because every flat earther I met is my best friend.
Oh, that is so good. I mean, I cannot say thank you enough for doing this. And I mean, I could talk to you all day about this, and I really appreciate you. So thank you, especially for getting up so early. For those of you who are listening, you have to understand it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. So thank you very, very much.
No problem. All right. Thanks so much.
Have a great one.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Flat Earth Sun and Moon Clock App. A dynamic new app to teach family and friends about where they actually live. The sky is a perfect clock. The sun measures the hours and days. The moon measures the weeks and months. The star constellations measure the seasons and years. 12/12 or 24-hour clock face, or go hands-free. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock App with new added features. World Time. See what time it is all around the flat Earth. A true Earth compass that shows true navigation across and around the flat Earth plane. Weather. Tap for detailed local weather information. Know what phase and where the moon is at all times. Watch the sun travel between the tropics for the seasons. Select an amazing background. Add your own or have the app change it to a new one automatically every time you use the app. Add a countdown to your next big date. Learn the truth about our world with the featured video of the day. Web button for additional flat Earth related features, from the mythical curve calculator all the way to Tartaria. While talking to friends, easily pull up pictures that expose the globe lie and shine light on the flat Earth truth. Video playlists in different languages. See the real trade winds circling the flat Earth, and clean screen features. Simply click off the items you don't wish to see. The Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app is the best tool to show your friends and strangers how our flat Earth actually works.